So I've been slacking on my videos, and the queue I have backed up of all the extra videos that I made to keep myself up to date, and making sure I'm making enough videos is slowly starting to dwindle and catching up to me on my days that I haven't been making any videos. And I should be making more videos. Sometimes it's hard to find the motivation, you know what I mean. So I thought, what have I been thinking about a lot today or lately? And there's an issue that I've been following for several years now, and I'm seeing the issue change. The conversation is changing. And it's a multifaceted issue. I can't just say it's this one thing, this one issue, because it ends up being a lot of different things. One of the biggest things that is called is the male loneliness epidemic, which is in some ways misunderstood, but in other ways just ignored. It started with, and this is why I say it's multifaceted, and I've seen a lot of videos on this, and you start to put all these different videos together in ways that they're not put together naturally. And one of the things I've been seeing is it starts with feminism. And don't get me wrong, I am in no way blaming feminism for this. I'm just saying that this was one of the first cards. And obviously, in order to address feminism, you would also, have to sit there and say all the things men did that led to the wave of feminism and everything. Now, make no mistake, I'm a big fan of feminism. The feminism that says women deserve to be treated equally to men, have all the same rights, all the same privileges, all the same pay, everything. I'm a huge fan. And I completely agree with all of that. Obviously, there are militant and more extreme versions of feminism where it comes out to downright man-hating. And obviously, I'm not so much of a fan of that. But I understand it. I get where some of these women do come from. Some of them are coming from a place of extreme hurt and pain caused by men, and that's definitely an issue. So what is this leading to? Well, we've had years of addressing these things, years of addressing the problems that men cause. And I definitely understand the whole, if there are 10, if there's a bowl of M&Ms and every 10th M&M is going to be poisonous to the point that it'll kill you, would you risk eating M&Ms? Of course not, obviously. And I do understand that analogy. So I understand women being afraid of men, and so don't take this as me saying that this is wrong or this is the problem. I mean, the problem is obviously men doing the things to create that situation to begin with. But it does come into a place where when you have men being told for decades that they are the problem, that this is an issue, that women can't trust them, that women need to be afraid of them on a consistent basis, you're going to run into the issue of men no longer wanting to be near women because they're afraid that they'll be the problem, even if they go in with good intentions. Now, I am by no means sitting here saying that sometimes a man with good intentions just accidentally essays a woman. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm not sitting here trying to say women falsely accuse men. No, that's not the conversation either. It's that a man may be afraid that something he feels isn't necessarily wrong may end up being taken the wrong way, or it may end up coming out the wrong way, or, we see videos of men just trying to hit on a woman. And we see a lot of women sitting there saying, look at this creeper, look at this asshole, look at this guy sexually, verbally assaulting me. And then we have this backlash where men are like, okay, well, I'm going to quit doing that then. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm paying attention. I am trying to be there for you. And now you have videos of women coming out saying, why don't men talk to women anymore? Why is this such a big issue? And the two are obviously very directly related. Now, I make these broad generalizations, and this is why we can't have a lot of conversation, because as soon as I say any of these points, you can bring up counterpoints. Because I'm not saying that the counterpoints don't exist. I'm not saying that, there are men who aren't afraid and there are women who don't get, upset whenever a guy is hitting on her. I'm not saying that these people don't exist or that these situations, I'm not even saying that they're not common. It may be very common that women are like, I want a guy to come up and start talking to me. But we react, and sometimes we overreact, and we may overcompensate on things. And so when a guy reads 20 different women saying, I want men to quit coming up to me in grocery stores. I want men to quit, just leave me alone whenever I'm at the gym. I want men to leave me alone when I'm at the bar. I just want men to leave me alone. Now, there may be 100 other women sitting there saying, where's the men trying to hit on me? But he just sees those 20. Now, I don't know what the statistics are. I don't even know if we can get good statistics on, how behavior should be or what people are expecting or what people want, this, that, or whatever. And I don't think the statistics really matter. What matters is what people see, what people hear. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that we need to have women quit saying that they want men to leave them alone. No, if that's what you want, that's what you say. You say what you want. All I'm doing is explaining why men are now going this way. And I've seen this conversation a lot as we see AI grow and we see robotics increasing and we see patterns of men preferring to go with some sort of sex robot thing. And I see a lot of videos of women saying, what is wrong with men? What are these men doing? And this is where it all ties in together. And some women look at this thing as, men just want a woman who listens to them and does what they say and never rejects them and never. I don't think that that's necessarily true. But I think that they know that with a robot that they're not going to be hitting on someone that is unwanting of their advances. And it's not just a simple rejection. Men have handled rejection for decades, millennia, whatever. It's legal ramifications. It's being called out in social media, being shamed globally, that is really changing things at this point. There's a lot to it, and like I said, there are whole videos that dedicate themselves to just portions of what I'm saying here. And so, I'm not going to solve the whole problem or even address the entire problem in a 10-minute video. But I can at least sit here and say, we can be fans, be allies to women and acknowledge the problems that men cause them. And still also acknowledge, hey, men are going through an issue as well. Now, the male only, I've concentrated and focused a lot on relationships between men and women in this video, and it kind of ignores the idea that the male loneliness epidemic isn't just about relationships. It's not just about men's relationship with women. It's also about men being able to talk to other men, having friends, having someone to rely on, to depend on, and that's a broader part of the overall conversation that also needs to be addressed, acknowledged, and realized, that we need to be able to talk to one another without judgment, without hardship. A man needs to be able to open up without having his masculinity questioned. We're all going through a hard time, and denial of that isn't masculine, that's toxic. Which now we get into the idea of toxic masculinity and whether that's a real thing or not. But it's a lot. But we need to hear each other. We need to understand each other. We need to come from a place that is listening and understands. Maybe doesn't relate. Maybe you don't know what the relation there is, but at least we can understand one another. And we need to make sure that we're not hearing, hey, men have problems, and think of it as, why are we talking about women? Men have problems too. No, let's talk about women. Address women's problems. Acknowledge their problems. Acknowledge that this is an issue men are causing. Don't just sweep it aside. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend like it's not a thing. But also, on top of that, realize that men are also having some issues that they're having to deal with and that they're going through. I've seen posts where people are like, oh, men are upset because they can't hook up with a woman. Meanwhile, the woman's upset because she may get killed by this man. And we're acting as if this is a fair comparison. Yes, the end result is a lot more extreme for what a woman could deal with, but the end result for what a man has to deal with is a lot more likely. And it ends up being two completely different things. And neither one is irrelevant. It's not an either or issue, it's an and issue. Women need to be afraid of men because of this, and men are having issues because of this. And I've seen people sit there and say, yes, and both of these issues are due to the patriarchy, which is probably true. There's probably a great deal of fact behind that. Men cause these problems on themselves. When a man can't talk to another man because that other man is going to sit there and make fun of him for being a sissy or whatever, yeah, that's of course an issue. That's obviously an issue. But when men also have women doing the same thing, and I've seen other women suggest, when a woman does that, it's again because of the patriarchy's influence on her. Okay, granted, I'm not looking for a blame here. I'm looking for a solution. And for me, the solution is communication, talking. It's a saw running in the background to drown out anything that I'm saying. This looks like a good point to stop the video anyway. I've gone well over the 10-minute mark I had intended. This isn't meant to solve the problem. It's not meant to cast blame. It's meant to start a conversation, to begin talking, and find some kind of common ground, some kind of understanding, some kind of reasonable place to start from. Because it's only through starting this communication that we can even begin to start looking for a solution for both sides of the issue. And I think it's a conversation we need to keep having. That's all.